But you were saying something about the poems that I read regularly.
Well, by reviewing your previous interviews, you pretty much say that there's poems that you don't read in public.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm wondering what that's about.
Yeah. It's not that I wouldn't read them in any public, but I don't read every poem in every public. So there are certain things that I imagine I must. It's either that I participate in it, but we might also say that I capitulate to it. You know, one of the wonderful things about what I do is that I get to go to elementary schools and read poems to kids, right? But I don't think 7-year-olds or 8-year-olds need to hear about sex.
Right.
I mean, graphic sex from me. Do you know what I mean? Okay. I mean, unless they're my 7-year-old, and I feel like that's the time that they need to start learning about graphic sex, which I don't think I would be that way with my 7-year-old. Do you understand what I mean? So it's not. It's a matter of that. It's a matter of appropriateness. I've read in a lot of churches. I don't say the word bitch in churches. And that's just, old school Southern Baptist stuff, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But I have the word bitch in poems. I might read those poems and replace that word. I think once I was reading Track 5, Summertime, a poem in the voice of Janis Joplin, and I said bloodhound or something instead of bitch. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So there are some things, but I wouldn't read Lush Life. I mean, Lush Life ends. How does it end? Speak to me in a lover's tongue. Call me your bitch and I'll sing the whole night long. I mean, it's just not appropriate.
Okay.
But I think it should exist.
Right.
I think it belongs in the book. I think it's good for people to come across it if they buy the book. Because I think what happens one-on-one is very different from what happens from one to a crowd. And I have to make a decision about who I want to be to a crowd. Now, I'm also measuring that against myself and my own philosophical and political beliefs. And those beliefs suggest to me that just because something makes me uncomfortable is not enough reason for me not to read it. Okay. Do you understand what I mean? So there's plenty of times that I'm reading stuff that other people think are completely inappropriate. Do you understand? So I think it's appropriate.
Okay.
When I go to prisons, for instance, I visited 2 prisons quite recently. I read Bullet Points, which is clearly a poem about the supposed suicides of all these people throughout the United States while in police custody.
Right.
But I read that poem because I think it's appropriate. Yeah. Now, is it a poem that makes the guards watching uncomfortable? Probably. But I also think it's my job to make people uncomfortable.
Okay.
Do you understand what I mean? So there's a difference. There's a different kind of choosing that I'm doing when I'm choosing poems. But what I have to make sure of is that I'm never doing it to keep myself safe. Right?
Right.
If I want to keep somebody safe, I can keep the 7 or the 8-year-old safe.
Sure.
That's my job.
Sure.
But it's not my job to keep prison guards safe. I'm sorry.